Hello and welcome back to Quarterlight. We're going to continue the estate car series with a car that has been described as the worst car ever, the Morris Marina. Although that title, worst car ever, kind of makes me like it a little bit more. It was launched in 1971, delayed with industrial action that seemed to plague many of the cars in the 70s, in particular British Leyland. It ran all the way till 1980 when it was replaced by the Morris II, which was basically the same car. And then in 1983 it was completely replaced by the Austin Maestro, seeing an end to that Morris name, unfortunately. The Morris Marina was a front-engine rear-wheel drive car designed by Roy Haynes, who also designed the Ford Cortina Mark II. It replaced the Morris Minor, a very well-regarded but ageing design, but the Marina still managed to share some of the underpinnings with that very old design, unfortunately. The size of the Morris Marina was a little bit bigger than an Escort, but smaller than a Cortina, so it really fitted into that niche size category, which I think is one of the reasons why it sold so well. The Morris Marina II estate was produced between mid 1976 and September 1978, and that is going to be the brochure we're going to look at today. So there we have it. This brochure is from 1976 when this update happened and the new 1.3 estate came out. It had a new radiator grille, dashboard, seats and a little bit more soundproofing, but basically it was the same machine. Now when it was initially designed, this car, because of some of the older components that they had to unfortunately use due to the constraints of British Leyland at the time, it became a much fatter looking design. But even so, despite what a lot of people say, I still think it's a good looking car, to be honest with you. I don't really see the criticism with the design at all. I think it's, dare I say it, an attractive 70s estate car. This particular one is in sand glow, a very common colour at the time, and I think it really suits it well. So let's have a look at the inside of this brochure. So there we have it, the rear of this Morris Marina. The real emphasis on this particular one is that 1.3 litre engine. It was kind of like a budget version to really make it more frugal in the 70s. A real fuel sipper. In fact, it only had a 1275cc 4-cylinder engine, so it certainly wasn't a racing machine. Amusingly, this is classed as the deluxe model and it still doesn't have a rear wiper on the back. And again, I still think it's a relatively attractive car for the 70s. There's something about the very simplicity of it. Unfortunately, this brochure itself isn't in the best condition, as you can see, but it still gives us a good insight into these cars. The interior being very basic and simple, as suiting with the rest of the car, but it did have quite a good load space with that folding rear seat. It was still a practical estate car. The text down here is quite amusing to read. It says, "She's a fine road performer too, with the latest disc drum brakes and a remote control 4-speed manual shift." All in all, the Marina II 1.3 is very big news indeed. It wasn't really very big news. There wasn't really any great changes on it, but there we go. It was what it was. And this is just a quick look at the back cover. Again, it's not in the great condition, this particular one, but interestingly it shows the optional extra, and the optional extra on this particular model was, of all things, a heavy duty battery. So there we go, that is a look at this particular car. Sadly, it's now one of the UK's rarest cars. Apparently less than 20 left of these 1.3 estates still driving around in the UK. So there we have it, the Morris Marina. The worst car in history? Well, Top Gear certainly used to think so. They used to destroy as many as they could, to much amusement. The Morris Owners Club used to send numerous letters trying to stop them doing such a thing, but again, it was just laughed at. Unfortunately, I used to find that a little bit uncomfortable. It was borderline bullying in my view. The Morris Marina wasn't the greatest car in history, but it certainly wasn't a bad one. It drove very similar to any other early 1970s cars, and the design really wasn't a bad one. In fact, Hyundai used that design for their Hyundai Pony. Again, it wasn't a great car, but it did lead Hyundai to become a major manufacturer of cars. For me, the fact that it was named worst car in history and hated by so many journalists really makes me love the car even more. I certainly don't think it's anywhere near one of the worst cars in history, and unfortunately now there are very few of them on the road. Yes, it had major rust issues, but then again, so many cars in the 70s did. Yes, there were quality issues, but again, so many 1970 cars did as well. So why so few Morris Marinas left on the road? Well, because of similar components, many restoration projects used to cannibalise Marina parts because it was such an unloved car. Love it or hate it, I'm certainly glad more and more seem to be put back on the roads these days. Love it or hate it, I would certainly like to see your comments in the comment section below. If you do like estate cars, there are more videos like this on various estates. Thank you once again for watching Quarterlight. Please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. So goodbye and take care.